Today, I'm gonna ask you just one thing, to forget everything that you think you know about Italian food, because I'm taking you on a journey across Italy's most delicious dishes. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, ciao, my name is Elisabetta and I'm from Italy. In this channel, I like sharing tips and blogs in Italy so that you can experience my country as a local. One of the questions I get asked the most around food is, what are the things that you really can't miss? And it's a very difficult question because, I'm from Italy and I don't think I've tried not even like 10%. There's so much choice and every region has its own dishes, so it's a very difficult question, but in this video I'm gonna try to answer it. So I picked 10 foods that I think you should try if you visit Italy. I try to find a balance between foods that are very popular and foods that maybe you've never heard of. So these are my 10 foods that you have to try when you visit Italy. Before we start, I'm gonna ask you a small favor. Please subscribe to the channel because it really helps me grow and it helps me bring you more interesting content in the future, more vlogs, more trips. It would really mean a lot to me, so please hit the subscribe button. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like the video as well. Now, iniziamo! Okay, number one of this list is Roman pastas. What I wanted to include in this category are the main 4 pasta dishes. Even though you're probably gonna see more on a menu when you go to Rome, these are probably the most popular ones and also the ones that have the most in common. To make it easy, these 4 pasta dishes all have pecorino romano, Roman pecorino cheese, in common, and then they have all these different variations. There's carbonara, which I'm pretty sure that you've heard of many times because now it's become like a controversial dish where everyone has their own recipe and we all think that we're making the perfect carbonara, right? So there's carbonara that's got the egg yolk and you're gonna recognize it because it's got the yellow color. There's amatriciana, which has pork cheek, tomato sauce, and then there's cacio e pepe, which is cheese and pepper, like a creamy cheese sauce. And there's gricia, which is probably the one that it's lesser known out of the 4. So it's like a cacio e pepe with pork cheek. And personally, I love this one because it's not too heavy, but it also gives you the meat flavor. But I wanted to include them all 4 because they're all slightly different. At the same time, they've got things in common. And some people, they don't like the idea of having raw egg yolk in pasta. So even though carbonara is the most iconic, maybe it's not your thing. So these are the alternatives that you have. And it was difficult to pick one category from Roman cuisine because there's so much that you have to try. But this is a really good starting point. So you go to a trattoria, you see these on the menu, you pick one of them. That is really gonna give you an idea of what Roman cuisine is all about. If you've tried any of these 4 pastas, I'm curious to know what your favorite one is, so let me know in the comments below. Now we move to Tuscany. One of the most famous street foods that you have to try in Tuscany is schiacciata sandwich. How do I describe schiacciata sandwich? If you see it, you're probably gonna mistake it for a focaccia because they look quite similar. But focaccia tends to be chewy, a bit soft, a bit more pillowy, we could say, whereas schiacciata, the actual name of it, means flattened. It's slightly more crunchy, it's like crunchy on the outside and soft inside, and it goes perfectly with so many different ingredients. We could say that the most popular place that does schiacciata is a place called All'Antico Vinaio. And if you are from the US watching these videos, you've probably seen or heard about it because the owner is from Florence and he opened I don't know how many branches in the US. Personally, I've tried it many times. I think it's great, like it's got great quality. But if you go to Florence, and this is something that not everyone might know, schiacciata for Tuscan people is like something that they would have at school for lunch. They have it pretty much at any time of the day, and there are so many different places that make it. So if you go walk around to the smaller streets, you are gonna find 100 more places that serve schiacciata. I actually tried one in my Florence vlog so that you can see it if you are planning on visiting Florence. I think the name was I Girone dei Ghiotti, and it was pretty good and it was a lot cheaper, so there are many alternatives. How do you usually eat schiacciata? Probably with cured meats like mortadella, prosciutto, with cheese. They have all sorts of cheese, gorgonzola, cheese spread, pecorino, mozzarella. We add veggies to them, we add pesto, it can be like pistachio pesto, like pistachios on top. So there are all these different fillings that you can choose from, and it can be a very quick way to have lunch, and also you're not gonna spend more than 5 or 6 euros on it. it, so it's also a very good budget-friendly alternative. Now, number 3 of this list, we are moving up north. This dish is from the city of Milan, and it's called Risotto alla Milanese. Milanese means from Milan, so this is where the dish comes from. And risotto, if you've never heard of it, is a way that we have of cooking rice. It's like a rice dish where rice is cooked in broth and water so that it retains all the starch and it becomes very, very creamy, and then you add butter, parmesan. We make it in 100 different ways. And risotto alla Milanese is made with saffron, so it's got this bright yellow color, and it's also served with ossobuco, bone marrow sometimes. So the traditional way actually of eating it would be bone marrow and risotto alla Milanese on the side, like a whole dish. And yes, it's a very comforting wintry dish. I personally love it. Where do you find it? I would say that general Italian restaurants have it. It's not gonna be the best risotto that you can have, but that could be a start. The best way to do it would be to try it in Milan. A restaurant that does specifically food from that area would be the best way of trying it, just because it's not an easy dish to make. It takes a lot of skill. You know, if it's overcooked or if it's undercooked, then it's gonna be very unpleasant to eat. So I would suggest going to a traditional restaurant in Milan to have it. But before I move on, in June 2026, I'll be traveling across Italy with a very limited group of people for my first ever Italy food tour. Together, we'll go from Rome to Naples to Calabria, discovering hidden gems, meeting locals, and of course trying amazing restaurants and food experiences that I personally love and recommend. It's going to be an intimate group, which means not only we will share this incredible journey, but we'll also really get to know each other. You'll have the chance to meet new people, make friends, and connect over our love for food in Italy, and everyone is welcome. Spots are very limited, so if this sounds like your dream trip, check the link in the description to book your place. And now, back to the food. Numero 4 della lista, I decided to include something from my region, the region of Sardinia, which is one of the big islands in Italy. Like, Sardinian food is not very well known. I think it deserves more appreciation. I personally love it. We've got amazing fresh seafood, as you can imagine, in an island. It's got so much seafood, it's got meat dishes, it's got a bit of everything. There are lots of cheeses. It's a very interesting cuisine, and it's actually quite different from the rest of the country. It's got its own cuisine in a way. So I had to pick one dish. Obviously, I know quite a few because I'm from there, but I had to pick one, and I decided to pick fregola sarda, and in particular seafood fregola. First of all, what is fregola? Fregola is a kind of thick couscous. It usually has different colors as well, like there are some darker grains and some lighter ones. Yeah, I would say it's similar to a couscous made of semolina, and we make it in so many different ways, but the most common one is with seafood. It would be like a mix of different seafood together, prawns, maybe calamari. Restaurants are usually gonna tell you what they have that day, and it's so delicious. It's quite different than having pasta, so it's a different experience. If you are in Italy for 2-3 weeks, you're probably gonna have plenty of pasta, but this could be a nice alternative. In general, if you don't find fregola on a menu, I would suggest still go for some sort of seafood dish, because that's what makes Sardinian food the best, is like the fresh seafood that we have. Yes, so if you can get fregola, at least try some seafood. You're not gonna regret it. Now, I talked a lot about savory dishes in this video. I don't know about you, but I have a massive sweet tooth. I love desserts, and one dessert that to me is even better than tiramisu, changed my mind. I know that everyone is obsessed with tiramisu, but to me this is much better, and it's called baba. It's a Napolitan, so it's from Naples. It's from the region of Campania, and you're gonna find it everywhere in Naples. It's like a rum-soaked sponge. The traditional version is plain, but there are different versions with cream, custard, and sour cherry. Now they're making, you know, with pistachio, they're making it with chocolate, they're making it in so many different ways, or even like with ice cream on the side. Restaurants sometimes they just serve it how they like. It's absolutely delicious. Like, I could have plenty, like 2 or 3 in a row. I'm not even kidding. But when I talk to people and I tell them, have you ever tried baba? Like, do you like baba? And they're like, no. I realize then that it's one of those desserts that either you like it or you hate it. There's no in between, because especially depending on where you go, they make it very alcoholic. Like, they put a lot of rum in it, and I get it, that can be a bit too much sometimes if you just want dessert and you don't want to get drunk. So I don't know if you've ever tried it. If you tried it, let me know in the comments, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I personally love it, so I had to include it in this list. Number 6, I wanted to include something that obviously had to be in this list, but I want to tell you a little bit more about it, and I'm talking about pizza. Okay, so I mean, cosa sarebbe la vita senza la pizza? But there are so many different ways of eating pizza. Let's make some distinctions. We have Napolitan pizza. Napolitan pizza is the one with the thick crust, thin in the middle. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit, it's a little watery. That's basically the water of the mozzarella, yeah. So some people hate it, I don't mind, but that's usually what it is. You can't really hold it, you can't hold the slice because it just keeps falling. So that's the Napolitan one. I love it. It can be a little heavy depending on where you go. It has to be done properly, otherwise it might be very heavy. So we have Napolitan pizza. But in other parts of Italy, there are different pizzas. Even in Naples, you can find Napolitan pizza. Then the other way that you could find it, it's pizza portafoglio, which means wallet pizza. It's like a street food there. You can find it for a much cheaper price than a regular pizza, and it's like a Napolitan pizza folded in four so that you can kind of eat it on the go. And then there is pizza fritta, which is another thing. It means fried pizza, and I might be wrong, but pizza fritta, it's got an even different filling. The traditional one is made with ricotta and salame, and it's like pizza dough. They make it like a half moon. They put the filling in the middle, then they close it down. It's got this kind of shape, and then they fry it, they deep fry it, and they put it in a cone so that you can have it on the go, and it's another way of having pizza. But then if you move to Rome, which is more like central part of Italy, that's where you're gonna find pizza romana. It can be either by the slice or round one, and the round one doesn't have any crust at all. In some places it's all like mozzarella and tomato. It's much lighter. The way they make it is different. It's a whole different experience. And then the one by the slice, by the way, if you're in Rome and you want to try a good pizza by the slice, try Bonci, because it's probably the most famous one. Again, like, it's very thin. You can choose many different toppings. Like, you go and you see all these different pizza toppings that you can pick 1, 2, 3 slices depending on how much you want, and you pay by weight. So that's another way of having pizza. Or for example, in Cagliari, in my city, we have pizzetta al taglio, which is similar to that. Like, we fold it in half, and it's another way of eating it. So, each region, each part of Italy has its own way of eating pizza. So what I want to tell you by adding pizza to this list is that, of course, you are gonna have to try pizza, but don't just stop at the Napolitan pizza. If you really like it and you want to try something different, so try whatever you fancy, like try different versions, and then let me know your favorite one. Number 7, I decided to include another dessert. This time we are in Sicily, the other big island in Italy. And probably after tiramisu, I would say it's the second most popular dessert. I rarely hear bad things about it, like everyone kind of loves it. I'm talking about cannoli siciliani. Cannoli siciliani are basically crispy fried shells filled with sweetened ricotta, chocolate chips. Sometimes there's also candied fruits in it, and actually you might even find it with the candied fruits on the sides. But now there are so many different ways of serving it. Sometimes you find it with crushed pistachios outside or chocolate outside. So many different ways, and it's simply iconic. What else can I say? I love it. It's probably one of the best things. I wasn't a fan of candied fruits when I was a kid. I remember I didn't like cannoli for that reason, because the candied fruits were so overpowering sometimes. I didn't like chewing them. I didn't like the flavor, but now I love it. Only one thing I'd suggest is make sure you're either in a pastry shop or a place that does Sicilian delicacies to try it, just because it's so popular that everyone is just doing it. Like, they decided to do it in so many different ways, and you don't really know if it's good or not. You're not gonna find good cannoli everywhere. They are from Sicily, and probably Sicily is the best place to try them. Number 8, I want to talk about a dish that I tried in its birthplace for the first time this year, because I went to Calabria, and actually I posted my first vlog in Calabria, and I'm gonna put it here so that you can have a look if you're curious. Calabria is one of the regions of southern Italy. In Calabria, they have seafood. They've got a bit of everything, I would say, but one thing that makes their cuisine very special is the spice. They like their food really spicy, and one thing they use a lot in their food is Nduja, that now is becoming very popular, but before it wasn't. To be honest, like, I'm not someone that eats spicy food every single day, but I was really curious. Like, I was in Calabria, of course I had to try Nduja. And Nduja is like a spreadable salami that makes it super easy to include in your food, because as I said, it's spreadable, it melts, so you can add it to a sauce, you can add it to a sandwich and kind of like spread it. It can be added in so many different ways. You don't have to add much to make it flavorful. It's super tasty, and I would say if you're in Calabria, you have to try Nduja. And even, there are some vendors where you can just get some and bring it home. And yeah, it's a slightly different thing. I would say not every region makes their food so spicy, so make sure you try some from Nduja. We are towards the end, but there are two categories that are very, very important now. And numero 9 is cornetto. This is probably the only dish that I included in the list that isn't really original. It's more like a general concept that everyone in Italy knows and has regularly. Cornetto is croissant, but cornetto isn't the same thing if we talk about the way it's made. Because croissant, the French one, is buttery and flaky, basically. Whereas cornetto, the way we make it here, it's more like a brioche. It's a bit softer, it's a bit fluffy, more like a brioche bun almost. Also, the filling is different. Obviously, it depends on where you go, but this would be more or less the general rule. So cornetto is something that we have for breakfast. I'm not talking about like an everyday breakfast, more like a Sunday breakfast. So you wake up, maybe you go for a run or you go for a walk, and then you stop at a bar / bakery. And there you would have your cornetto with your coffee, either cappuccino or espresso. The fillings you have that you can choose from are very different than croissant fillings. There can be cornetto al cioccolato, alla marmellata, some sort of fruit like apples and cinnamon. These are more modern. But one that I love and that I always order, especially in like good bakeries, is cornetto alla crema, custard cream. It's not that vanilla cream, it's more like a egg custard. It's similar, actually, you know what? To give you something similar, the custard in the pastel de nata. That's very, very similar in terms of taste. And I personally love cornetto alla crema. So if you visit Italy, make sure that you save at least one of your breakfasts for a bakery. Even if you're staying in a hotel, I'll probably set it in another video as well. Just make sure that at least one of your breakfasts are in a bar or in a like a traditional bakery, because it's a different experience. And now we have number 10. I decided to keep this as the last one because there is a lot to say, but also I wouldn't have enough time to talk about in this video. And it's also one of the most important ones. And I'm talking about fresh pasta. Fresh pasta, well, first of all, we have fresh pasta and we have dry pasta. The dry pasta is the one you find in the supermarket. Fresh pasta is made by hand, or it's usually made even by machines, but usually the way it's made, it's with egg. And while everyone in Italy obviously knows how to make fresh pasta, or you know, you are gonna find it pretty much everywhere in restaurants, fresh pasta is from the region of Emilia-Romagna and specifically Bologna. For example, tortellini. Tortellini are fresh pasta, but they are rolled into like small, very, very tiny dumplings, and they are cooked in broth, and they usually have like ham or meat inside. So that's one way they make fresh pasta. But fresh pasta also means lasagne, which are also called lasagne alla bolognese. The traditional ones have ragu, and they've got parmesan and bechamel, and they are made with all these different layers. So that's another fresh pasta they make. But it can be anything: tagliatelle, ravioli, spaghetti. Like there are different shapes, there are different fillings. So one suggestion I have, make sure that you buy some. There are places that have airtight fresh pasta that you can buy. There are also restaurants that only do fresh pasta. And you could even find some very cool experiences like a pasta making class or like a cooking class with, you know, a chef from the area. Yeah, so I would say if I have to pick 3 categories of pasta, it would be tortellini, the ham dumplings, tagliatelle, and lasagna. So these would probably be my top 3. So that is the perfect place to have as much pasta as you want. You're not gonna get disappointed there. And that was the last food from the list. I hope that you guys liked this video. I tried to include like the most important things, but also I wanted to give you a bit more of like a local point of view. I didn't want to recommend the basic dishes that everyone knows. I wanted to include some regional ones as well. I hope that this list gave you an idea of what you can have in Italy, which is a lot. So if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, I want to know from you, what are your top 3 Italian dishes that you tried, and where have you tried them? What did you think of them? Please let me know in the comments, and let's talk about it. Now, I hope to see you in the next video. I'm gonna go back and make dinner with my parents that are waiting for me in the other room. Ciao ragazzi, bye!